Most agents dream about starting a brokerage, but few are willing to walk away from a $250,000 a year income to actually do it. Cody Huelsman did. Cody, you're the managing broker of a real estate agency in, well, half of the US. Now, I reached out to you on Instagram, not because I saw you had thousands of listings on Zillow or because you've been in the game for 100 years, but because I thought your social media presence was, quite frankly, one of the most solid I've seen in a hot minute. He gave up a $250,000 a year real estate career to build something bigger, a brokerage that puts agents first. His goal, to scale to 150 agents by the end of the year. In this episode, Cody shares why he risked everything to start My Good Agent, his raw approach to building a brokerage from scratch, so it's more of a recruiting better quality agents instead of going for volume, his social media playbook that he uses to attract agents, and this system's keeping everything running behind the scenes. We're together. But I think realistically, it's just like a coalition of 1099s. If you're thinking about starting your own brokerage, this is the episode you can't afford to miss. It's not polished, it's not perfect, but it's real perfect. Before we begin the podcast, I have one small favor to ask. If you could hit the subscribe button so that we could reach more real estate agents every single week. Thank you. Cody, you're the managing broker of a real estate agency in, well, half of the US. Now, I reached out to you on Instagram, not because I saw you had thousands of listings on Zillow or because you've been in the game for 100 years, but because I thought your social media presence was, quite frankly, one of the most solid I've seen in a hot minute. So 97% of real estate agents just spam Canva templates, hire a VA and call it a day. Instead, you have a podcast, run short form content, and plenty of other things on social media. So with that being said, can you walk me through your social media strategy?
So, I do all the social media myself. Everyone always asks me, how do I have time to do everything that I do? Luckily, I have a lot of administrative time in my role as a managing broker of the company. I don't actively sell real estate anymore because we have agents that do that, right? So my role is just basically to manage, grow the company. And we were lacking really bad on social media 6 months ago. We were doing the Canva templates and, putting out these pictures that just say buyer tip, seller tip, right? And the thing is like, I understand social media. It's just the budget to put the budget behind social media is very expensive, right? There's brokerages that I know who have big media teams, and I'm going to be honest with you. I think our content looks better, and the media team, you're looking at the media team, right? But a lot of it comes from, I've been a musician for a long time. I was in a band. We played a lot of shows. We toured. We did all these things. And listen, there's nothing in this world. There's nothing better in the marketing world than a struggling musician that's trying to get their band out there, right? So you just have to kind of copy and paste those methods from being a musician, trying to get your band out there with your businesses, like in real estate. So a lot of things that we're doing is we're just making informational videos. We use ChatGPT mostly. So we'll tell ChatGPT, hey, give me a script about Connecticut real estate or Florida real estate, wherever the agent is, and give me a tip that involves this or a tip that involves that. Then we take that, we make a short form video out of it. I edit it myself. I just use CapCut. Like, it's easy, it's quick. For the videos that are a little bit more produced, we have this guy out in, I think he's in India. And he does like the more produced short form stuff. So we're just really just kind of rolling with that. And honestly, we've seen such a big boost in the social media that we've just been pumping out videos. Another thing we're doing too is, like, we use Canva as well, but we're getting more creative with Canva. We're doing more automation stuff, like the more like the writing that moves and things like that, just to, because a lot of times as humans, especially in 2025 or whatever year we're in, I can't keep track. a lot of us have ADHD and like we're all like squirrel, and we can't stay focused. So you want to create content that it's easy on the eye and it's engaging, and you're like, oh, okay. And a lot of times when things are moving, your eyes kind of moving with it instead of just staring blank at just a photo that has words on it. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
100% true. I'd say on the social media editing side as well, it's so hard to just find a good editor. Like,
It is,
I
yeah.
can't tell you how many I've
It
gone
really.
through. Like, I finally found a really, really good editor, and he takes his time too. But then it takes forever to get the video out. And so there's a really fine
Right.
balance there. So on kind of the social media side, how are you taking I should ask, are you doing it primarily for branding purposes, A, or are you doing it more for like direct to consumer kind of conversion style? Neither.
Neither.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the reality is My Good Agent is a newer brand. We've been active. We've been a brokerage for 3 years. We started out as a different name 6 years ago. So I've been opened and operated for 6 years. But the idea behind the social media is really just keep the engagement up. I don't really care about conversion on it. We're not going to get business. I would say less than 1% of business will come from our social medias. Our social medias are just geared towards recruiting realtors. So the thing is like, yeah, are we putting out content for the consumer? Yes. But at the same time, other realtors are seeing what we're doing and they're like, hey, I want to be a part of this. And to me, that's more important than somebody saying, hey, I'm seeing this, I want to buy a house.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's more of a recruiting more recruiting for realtors. That seems to be similar to how what are the names? The Next Home Partners. That seems to be how their social media is geared. So would you
Right.
say like you're doing it primarily to recruit as many agents in as many states as possible all across the US? Is that kind of the way that you're planning on growing your brokerage? Or are you using it more to get better quality agents instead of going for volume?
So the short answer to that is yes. So the reason I say yes is because all of that is it all is applicable. The reality is I actually care more about the volume because I can help that volume produce more. We're a very hands-on brokerage. We invest probably the most out of any brokerage in America back into our agents. Um, and we're very collaborative. So like we have agents in Connecticut, Florida, Mass, Rhode Island. You would think we're one massive team, and we're not. We're not a team at all. We're just a brokerage with single agents. And it feels like a big team that's just, I don't know, man. It's just something special, and it doesn't really exist anywhere else. And we're really building something
Yeah,
special
dude,
here.
I think that's one of the biggest like misconceptions I see a lot in real estate is everyone thinks they're on like we're on a team, like we're together. But I think a lot of real estate teams like they don't realize that realistically it's just like a coalition of 1099s. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's really all it is. It's just a bunch of people coming together to talk about different things that work for them. Because like realistically,
Right.
even if you're on a team, you're still fighting against each other in some capacity.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like you said, they're all 10 and 9 contractors. They're all in this for themselves because that's how it needs to be, right? But here's the reality, and I had this conversation with someone this morning. If you're a realtor and you're out in the world, and somebody said to me once, well, Cody, why should I network with other realtors? And I'm like, well, for a few reasons. One, reputation, right? If someone likes you, likes your personality, and you eventually, if you're doing business, you're going to do business with that person somewhere. They're going to be like, hey, like I like this guy, and they're going to tell their seller or whoever they're working with, like, hey, I know this guy's reputation. He's going to do good. The second piece is, years ago when I sold real estate actively, I had an agent out in the field call me and say, hey, like I have this massive 10 building deal that I can't personally do because it's a conflict of interest because it's a family member. And he's like, I like to refer it to you. You give me a referral fee. So you want to be the go-to guy for other realtors because you never know where the business will come from. Like for me, I don't like doing commercial. I rather refer it out, right? And if I have a strong relationship with a commercial agent and I build that relationship, he's going to refer me residential business, right? And that's really the mindset you got to
Yeah,
have.
I love that. I love that. Referrals are the backbone of real estate. I mean,
Yep.
it sounds like you pass a lot of referrals. What's your go-to with that? How are you? Because a lot of times in referrals, you get kickbacks, like you'll get a 10% like commission split or whatever. How do you structure those referrals?
Usually 20 to 30%. I mean, straightforward. I mean, listen, man, like at the end of the day, we're all in this to make money, you know?
That's true. That's very, very true. I want to ask you, for your agents, you kind of have a broad overview of, I don't know, how many agents do you have right now?
So we're newer. We have 60 agents, but we'll probably hit about 150 by the end of the year with the way things are
Wow.
going. I mean, we've had yeah, I mean, we've had recruitment meetings all week this week, all week next week. I mean, they're just lining up at this point, which is
Okay.
good.
I guess slightly different question then. What are you doing to recruit the agents other than just social media? Like, how are you bringing them on compared to other brokerages? Because it seems like you're scaling super fast then.
Um, so it's funny because when last year when we had under 40 agents, maybe more between 20 and 30, it was very hard to break that 50 plus, 60 plus. And a lot of it was because agents thought it was too good to be true. Everything that we offered, everything, just everything that's involved in the brokerage. And once we started getting more agents and they're talking about it more and the next person's talking about it, now we're starting to recruit based on people that last year that we interviewed, there was like, it's too good to be true. Now they're with us and they're like, it's good and it's true, so it's just been kind of like a roller coaster
Okay.
effect.
Yeah. It's just having such a good offer. So let's say I'm an agent and you're going to pitch me on joining your brokerage. How would you pitch me?
I don't pitch people.
That's fair.
I don't. A lot of times, most of the time, people are going to join based on vibes. So when you come and sit down with me, I'll pitch my product for like 2 seconds. Like, listen, I'll literally do the whole spiel, like, hey, 80, 20, 15K cap, I got this. I don't care about any of that, right? Because I know, we offer the best commission model out of any other company in America, but the reality is people are going to join based on the personality, right? So I want them to feel comfortable knowing that they can trust me as their broker, trust me as a leader, and knowing that when they come in and they do their business, they're backed by somebody who will back them.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, I was looking at your commission splits as well, just on Instagram, from what I could kind of gather. And like, I was going to join the REMAX nearby, and the commission splits are insane. Like 70-30, no cap. And you have a chair
and I started
or desk fee. Like, bro, what?
Fee, What are they charging over there at REMAX for desk fees?
I think it depends on the area, but I know mine was about $150 a month. It wasn't a lot, unless you did like an 80-20 and then it was more.
That's not bad because so I almost bought into REMAX before I went into my own thing, or before we rebranded to My Good Agent. I almost bought into a REMAX and they flew me out to Denver to meet the CEO and all that stuff. And REMAX itself charges like $300 a month per agent, like corporate. Like REMAX corporate charges the brokers $300 a month per agent, which is crazy. So the brokers have to recoup that. So if you have 100 agents at a REMAX office and only 20 of them are selling, you're still paying $300 a month per agent on those agents not producing. So for REMAX, how REMAX is structured, it doesn't make sense for a broker to have non-producing agents. And they get royalty fees and all that other stuff. And look, don't get me wrong, like 10 years ago, I would have bought into a REMAX all day because brand mattered, right? The branding, REMAX was the most recognized brand in America. But the reality is in 2025, the consumer doesn't give a shit who your brokerage is. They buy the agent. They don't buy the brokerage. Now, if it was the 1980s, that's a different,
I see that a lot in marketing. So for a little bit of context, I do work with a lot of brokerages just on their marketing. And even if I can bring in leads at a brokerage level, you have to train the agents to show their personality in the follow-up. Because no matter how strong that brokerage brand is, they won't buy if they see another agent's face. Real estate agents, you're throwing qualified leads into trash, and I'm going to give you the exact solution to fix it. Your Google My Business listing is one of the best ways to get high quality inbound leads without ads, social media, or an expensive website. But most agents completely ignore it. Meanwhile, some of my clients are generating as many as 50 qualified leads a month on autopilot. Take Legendary Real Estate, for example. In just 2 months, they 4x their Google My Business listing interactions. That's calls, website clicks, and directions to their office. Yet so many agents are out here grinding on social media, wasting money on ads, and struggling with their website, all while ignoring the easiest lead source they already own. The best part, you don't need to do any of that. You just need 15 minutes a week and the right strategy. I've seen plenty of Google My Business listing courses, but nothing that works specifically for real estate. So I built you one, a Google My Business listing course for real estate. And before you say, oh my God, he's just another course guy, listen, it's free. I'm giving you it for free. There's no paywall, there's no upsell, there's no catch, okay? Just the real tactics I use every single day to generate my clients' leads. So if you want to get the course, just drop me a follow. It's the link in bio, all yours, again, for free. So that being said, I'll see you on the other side.
Right. And thing too is like, I was with REMAX before I went on my own. And, I joined a newer REMAX office that only had like 5 agents. And, it's crazy because those guys were in theory very good brokers, but they just didn't know how to scale that business. Maybe they didn't know how. I don't know if they knew how or they just did it. I don't know. It just didn't work for them. And, they got like 5, they still have like 5 agents 6 years later, which is crazy. But good, they're good dudes. It's just, maybe that's just not the, REMAX is too expensive. I'm just saying if I had under 50 agents, I don't think I'd open a REMAX office.
Okay. That I could definitely see that. That would make sense. I wanted to ask you kind of on the transition as well from agent to broker, because I feel like there's 2 very different games being played. So as an agent, you at least like, listen, I'm not a broker by any stretch of the imagination, so I have no idea. But at least from what I can tell, it's more of like agents is more like sales, being able to close deals. Brokerage is more standard business. It's more management people leading. How does this fit in here? Problem solving type thing.
It's more operational. I would say it's about 80% operations, 10% glamour and marketing, and I would say the other 10% is probably like, like the what you just said, helping agents navigate the problems in the business, right? Believe it or not, there's not ever a lot of problems. I would say like I deal with problem stuff like maybe once a month, twice a month, on 60 agents. So it doesn't happen a lot, especially if you're a good broker and you're walking your new agents through the transaction. It's very rare that anything is going to happen. And if it does happen, a lot of times it's more of an attorney problem anyways, right? Or a title company, whatever, depending on what state you're in. But for the most part, if the title company can't deal with it, then they're going to put it off to one of their attorneys. In Connecticut's an attorney state, so the file start and finishes with an attorney. So honestly, man, it's just really just being there and helping them hold their hand. A lot of times, like agents tend to get like upset when these things happen, and it's really, as a broker, I just got to be more of almost like a therapist. Like, hey, like it's not that big of a deal. Like it's not the end of the world if we can't control it. Like if we can control it, let's work it out. But it doesn't happen a lot. I'm going to be honest. I don't care what anyone says. It doesn't happen that often.
I could definitely see that. What for you operationally? You said it's very much an operations game. Where you're at, What
Yes.
operationally is a challenge for you?
um, Operational challenges. Well, I'll be honest with you. When I first became a broker, there's no training. There's no training to be a broker, and brokers won't train other people to be brokers. The broker. So here's the thing: 90% of brokers, maybe even higher. Let me just shoot a fake number out here. Maybe 90 to 95% of brokers will tell you there's no money in the brokerage world. Don't do it. Right. Well, if there's no money in it, they wouldn't be doing it. Right. So the reality is when I got into the business, I didn't know shit operationally. I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know how to write 1099s or send out 1099s. I didn't know how to track commissions. I didn't know how to like compliance things, like what forms I needed to keep, what forms I didn't need, what forms were legal, what forms weren't. And it took a lot of trial and error. And to be honest with you, like it comes down to systems, right? If you got good systems, everything kind of falls into place, right? Lucky for me, I had a really good I had the admin from REMAX. I paid her once to come in the office, show me how to use QuickBooks, and then I was good from there, right? But then I started, over the years of like 6 years, we're almost 7 years in, whatever. We started investing in better technology that kind of automates most of the back end. So we use all these systems that do it for us now, and we just go in, kind of check off the compliance stuff, pay the commissions, and it's done. So
Okay, that makes sense. And there's not much
yeah,
fires from the sounds of it. So what's the disadvantage of being a broker then? Because you're 6 years in. You said you have most of it like pretty much systematized where it's just come in, okay, commission, check, good, check, compliance, check. What's the downside of being a broker?
being broke, the broken broker. So brokers aren't lying when there's not a lot, when they say there's no money in it, right? So they are and they aren't, because all right, so if you're a single, all right, for me, when I first started, I opened my shop, I had 5 agents, and I was a top producing agent. So I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars while I was also making whatever I was making on those 5 or 6 agents, right? And that was probably the most money I've made in my personal life. It was when I was in that setup. So I would say when you're a small broker and you keep it small and you're still producing, you can make probably millions of dollars. Okay. If you're trying to do what I'm doing, which is scale from 5 agents to hundreds, if not thousands of agents, the profit starts to become thinner. You're starting to put money into advertising, into social media, into this, into that, making people happy, sponsoring events, putting thousands of dollars into this, thousands of dollars into that, Zillow, whatever it is, right? So for me, and I've done the math and I'm transparent with everybody, for me to really get back to where I was when I was producing with 5 agents, for me to get back to those numbers, I need about 150 agents. So once I get to 150 agents, it's going to be like, oh, shoot, Cody's got money again.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's a good point because you make very little on everyone. Like very little. Even
Right.
like the Keller Williams model where it's profit share. Even if you look at what they're actually getting on the back end as a broker, it's very, very small. EXP is a little bit
Yeah.
better. Real's a little bit better than that. But even still.
Yeah, but the difference between those companies and me is we have a similar model to them. We offer more on the operational side of things. And, we've created systems where you're basically getting 24/7 broker support. And we built out an AI broker support bot that literally mimics me. And it was trained to answer how I answer and things like that. So, we're taking it a step further. And I think that's why we're growing, is because I would say about 30% of our agents come from EXP, Keller Williams. And a lot of times we're like, hey, those commission splits are great, which ours is, if not better, around the same, right? The biggest piece they're missing though is they don't know how to grow their business, right? And you could sit in these videos all day and listen to someone run their mouth all you want. But I know me, I'm not sitting there and watching a TV and going, okay, I'm learning something, right? But you could call your broker and cook me and say, hey, I need help with this. And I have the resources to help you with that and get your business to scale how you want to scale.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that. You have the AI thing yourself. Did you just train that in ChatGPT?
So what we did was we use Slack as a communication, as like a company portal communication. I built out a custom bot through ChatGPT, and it funnels and it's coded to go into our Slack channel.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's like the most advanced ChatGPT you can get. It's really expensive. Where we can go in and we can actually train the bot and say like, hey, and what's cool about it too is we can upload like our company documents to it, so it knows like the ins and outs of my good agent.
Shoot, that's actually really, really smart.
Yeah, so like if an agent's like, hey, what's our procedure on this? They can ask him, and he can pull it from the document and go, hey, this is our procedure, and this is how you should follow it.
I really, really like that. That's smart.
Yeah. Thanks. I built it myself.
I love that it runs on Slack too. It's not just like a ChatGPT wrapper. That's beautiful.
Nope.
I also wanted to ask you for agents as well, because you said training agents.
Yeah.
So that's actually something that I run into a lot of. Again, like I work with a lot of brokerages on essentially lead gen on the Google side, just because that's like the really boring stuff that no one wants to do. And then how do we convert the leads on the back end? And I end up almost every single time working with each and every agent, just sitting down one-on-one, like role playing, or like, how are we saying this? How are we tweaking that? Because no matter how much I want to record a video, send it to them, they learn it. They just don't learn it. Mm-hmm. What are you doing to scale that to 150 agents?
Well, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, right? So the reality is do I run trainings weekly? No. Do I run them monthly? No. Do I put out videos? No. I am a true believer that in real estate, for you to learn and be active, you need to be out in the field being active. Okay. I can sit down with you and I could say, hey, Andrew, this is how you run your business, right? The reality is unless you go out and put in the effort, you're never going to succeed. Okay. This business is whatever you put into it. If you put in 100%, 90%, 80%, 150%, what you put in is what you get out. Okay. Look, at the end of the day, you don't need money to be successful. I didn't have money to be successful. I didn't grow up rich. I grew up poor, right? I didn't have money to go to college. I got a college degree, but I had to pay for it, right? I had to hustle for it. I started my business with $1,000 in my bank account. Okay. So if you want to go from zero to where I am now, you need to go out there and you need to put in work. No broker. And I tell all my agents this, you ever go online and blame me for your failure, we're going to have a problem, because you have lack of self-accountability. So the biggest thing we push at My Good Agent is self-accountability, and what self-accountability looks like. So every day in Slack, I send out a motivation, and then I add a sales tip into that motivation. And, look, agents love it. They text me, hey, I really love these. And even though they're not saying it to me in Slack, they're saying to me in private. And that goes a long way, because it's like, okay, they're taking what I'm giving and hopefully they run with it. But if they don't run with it, it's on them. It's not on me.
Yeah, that's exactly. Like, you can't make an agent do something. That's the problem with 1099s too, right? Like, they're not a W-2. You can't really you need to do this.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, in the sense of training, Keller Williams probably has everyone beat, right? Because they got the best online training. In my opinion, that online training doesn't do anything. I could put out a bunch of videos too, and the reality is I know a good salesperson cannot sit in front of a video.
That's true. Yeah.
I can't do it. I mean, I haven't watched TV in 9 years,
Yeah, I can see that. I'm shocked you don't do weekly meetings, because that's one thing that I find that works really well for if we're setting for people. so setting leads into calendars, is we round robin team meetings every week. So we'll bring in all the setters from everyone. It's like 7 setters. They sit in a round robin, and each week someone else goes, okay, I said this, 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 and this. How would you give me feedback? And as a team, they give feedback.
No, I don't do that. I mean, it's kind of a waste of time. I mean, I would say like if you're an agent that's killing it, there's no reason for you to do weekly meetings. You know what? If you really need to check in, call your broker, say, hey, I need this. If you're an agent's kind of like newer, you're trying to scale your business, I tell agents, be collaborative. You know, go meet with 5 or 6 other agents in our office. Go make calls. Like, if you want me to critique it, I'll critique it. But at the end of the day, like, I'll get on the phone with an agent, and they're quick calls, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, under 10, and I'll give you so much value in that time that there's no need to be like doing this weekly. Like, I want to make sure that, and look, everyone says to me, well, Cody, how can you continue doing this when you get to 500 agents? I have a plan for that. I'm not going to put that out here because I don't want brokers stealing my ideas. But the reality is I already have a plan in the back of my mind that's going to help continue doing what we're doing, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I find it really useful with the weekly thing, especially for the newer guys. And it's just more because then they can give feedback to each other. So then it forces them to think it through versus like,
Well,
if you're,
we kind of do that. We kind of do that every day in Slack.
that's true. That's true.
You know, we're I would say like every day we have at least 40% of the agent base going in and talking about, we talk about what's going on in our days, and we'll kind of like work off of that. So I get what you guys do, and everybody does that. I just don't see a need
Fair
for
enough.
it.
Are you doing like accountability at all? Like day to day, like what did you do today? Are you doing that? What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I start off with what I do, so I'll send the agents myself accountability, and I'll give them a rundown of what I did all day, even if it says, "Hey, I took a 3-hour nap," right? Like I'm throwing that in there. I'm letting agents know, like, "Hey, here's the transparency of my day. Here's where your money's going," because at the end of the day, you're buying me as your broker, right? You're paying me when you close a deal. You're paying me because you have to, but 2, you're buying me. You're not buying EXP. You're not buying REMAX. You're buying Cody at My Good Agent, right? So I'm going to let them know, like, when I give myself accountability every day, I took a 3-hour nap. I needed that nap. But I throw it in there because I want agents to see that, hey, we're all human. We all need breaks. We all need rest. I even tell them when I'm having mental health days, I'm like, hey guys, like, I'm having a mental health day. You know, if you really need me, reach out. Otherwise, call my assistant. You know,
Smart. That's really, really smart. I know I give my entire team access to my calendar so they can see every little thing that I'm doing every day. Granted, that doesn't have like all my tasks, like I have to-do lists and stuff, but then they can see that as well. Are you giving them access to your calendar?
not directly. They have my Calendly. They could schedule something on there if they really need to. The nice thing about Slack, especially in the upgraded version of stuff, you can do huddles and stuff like right in Slack. And they can do that with each other. They don't even need me involved for that,
Smart,
which is nice.
Smart. I'll tell you what, I actually don't have any more questions for you. Kind of zipped through that. Where would you like to send people? Let's say they want to be an agent. Where would you like to send them?
Hey, just reach out. You can go calendly.com/MGA broker if you want to schedule a meeting and meet me, or you can go to mygoodagent.com.
Perfect.